Dear students, in this module, we will discuss and gain knowledge about the details of social survey as a method of data collection from the respondents from field setting. The learning objectives concerned to this module are meaning and importance and characteristics of social survey, steps in planning the social survey and organization of survey including monitoring and supervision of field work, merits and limitations of social survey. Firstly, we will look into the sample survey and its meaning and importance. Survey means to look over or see over something related to a social problem. It is a critical inspection to provide exact interpretation about specific social phenomena. It can also be said that the process by which quantitative facts are collected about social aspects. Generally, it aims at fact finding of certain phenomena or situations or their prevalence in a sample or in an area. Survey is also said to be a method of research involving collection of data directly from a population or a sample thereof at a particular time. Initially, surveys have started as sample surveys on small scale basis in social and behavioral sciences. However, in the recent past, relatively large scale surveys have become almost an integral part of the research not only in social and behavioral sciences, but also in almost all the disciplines like agricultural, veterinary, medicine and public health, management sciences like statistics, biological sciences, pharmaceutical sciences, engineering sciences, etc. Surveys as part of research are used enormously for collecting data related to population studies like fertility, mortality and morbidity, migration, marriage and divorce, nutrition, maternal and child health, family planning, women's empowerment, domestic violence, HIV/AIDS and related aspects, aging related aspects, etc. Most of these studies are large scale in nature and being conducted by the government organizations like CSO, NSSO, selected ministries like Health and Family Welfare, Social Justice and Empowerment, Science and Technology, Environment, etc. Besides these research organizations like IIPS, ISEC, CDS, TISS, etc., with the funding provided from national and international organizations. Characteristics of survey. It is always a field study and conducted in natural setting. It seeks responses directly from sample respondents. Information about selected phenomena or social economic problems used to be collected from a large number of cases, that is respondents. It used to be conducted at a particular point of time in a particular area. It used to be conducted with a definite purpose and or objectives. Surveys will be conducted to understand the factors that are likely to be affect certain phenomena or social problems. The findings will be useful to solve current social and economic problems. Its findings can be applicable to large population. Planning a survey is not that easy task. So, we will discuss some of the issues related to planning a survey. Planning for a sample survey has to be done meticulously and needs expertise to do the same. This is very much essential because on the one side, proper planning will be helpful to collect qualitative data, and on the other side, such data is going to be analyzed and arrive at a fruitful conclusions, which are much helpful for making use of solving social and economic problems of the population. Therefore, we will see how the steps will come into picture for planning a survey. The major steps are preparational of schedule and questionnaire, pre-test and modification of schedule, selecting the universe and or field of study, choosing the sample from the universe that has to be studied, and recruitment of field investigators and training. We will discuss a few words about all these steps. First step is preparation of schedule and questionnaire. After the selection and formulation of the topic and objectives and hypothesis, the researcher has to prepare the tool for data collection, mostly interview schedule. This is in anticipation of carrying out field based study with interview method involving the researcher and or field investigator and the respondents. Interview schedule is very much crucial for the collection of data from the respondents in the field based study through survey method. Hence, it has to be done skillfully based on the objectives of the study and hypothesis, as well as taking into consideration of the type of sample or respondents going to be contacted. Generally, individual researchers will take care of this either with or without the help of the guide or supervisor or at times experts. In the case of large scale surveys carried out by research organizations, several experts are likely to be involved in this process depending upon the data needed to be collected. As far as possible, all the questions that are going to be asked the respondents for getting their responses should be based on the needs of the topics of interest or study. Moreover, the time, cost and administrative resources also will be taken into consideration while preparing the interview schedule. The second step in the planning survey is pre-test and modification of the schedule. The prepared interview schedule has to be pre-tested by the researcher among a sample group of respondents, generally who are not part of the sample going to be selected, but may have more or less similar characteristics. This is a vital task to be carried out because after this the schedule will be finalized and going to be used for the survey to be carried out among larger number of respondents. It will be done mostly by the researchers themselves and are well trained field investigators. After the pre-test, the interview schedule responses for each and every question have to be examined, by which one can understand the relevant and not relevant or suitable and ambiguous questions, use of wrong words are suitable to local conditions, etc. Looking into all such things, the researchers have to come to a decision to modify and finalize the interview schedule suitable to the needs of the topic under study. Third step in the planning of social survey is selecting the universe or field of study. This step is generally taken up after the finalization of the interview schedule on the topic of research, for which first hand information from the respondents' primary data is needed. In fact, keeping this in mind only, the researcher will try to select the problem to be studied. In the case of small scale surveys, say for example involving around 500 respondents or so, the universe may be mostly restricted to some rural and or urban areas of a taluk, town or district. The researcher should have an idea or get the total number of respondents either fully or approximately that are likely to be existing and are available in the field of study. In the case of large samples involving about 1000 respondents or more, generally 2 or more districts within the states and our total state-wise number of possible respondents have to be estimated. The fourth step in planning a social survey is choosing the sample from the universe that has to be studied. Generally, it is practically impossible to contact each and every person, and moreover, the problem under study may not concern to everybody. Therefore, a sample is generally drawn from amongst the people about whom the study has to be made. But in social science research, selection of suitable sample of respondents is a tough task, since the researchers have to follow different sampling techniques for different topics of study. Some are also to choose the sample size on their own following scientific sample techniques, or at time taking the expertise from statistician experts. In large scale surveys, the sample respondents and our households used to be selected strictly adhering the probability sampling techniques and prepare the mapping and listing of sampling units, etc. The researchers, coordinators, supervisors and field investigators also should know how to reach the sampling units and identify the sample households or respondents. The fifth step in the planning stage of a social survey is recruitment of field investigators and training. Generally, in the case of small scale surveys, the researchers themselves would be well equipped with the techniques and procedures of interview method so as to administer the interview schedule amongst the sample respondents. They should also understand the importance of the study and objectives of the study, getting permission from the officials needed and are formal or informal local leaders so as to collect the information from respondents with less hassles. In the case of large scale surveys, the research organization and researchers concerned will recruit field investigators for data collection from the respondents. In such case, care should be taken to select such invigilators based on the qualifications, prior field experience, commitment to research, etc., which may vary from survey to survey. The selected field investigators have to be given full-fledged training to understand the nature and importance of the survey to be undertaken, content of and administrating the interview schedule, and at times to make use of laptops for collection of data, that is CAPI. The training should be both at office as well as on field. All those initial doubts both in the office and on field have to be clarified during the training. After planning, the next broad stage will come of organizing the survey. Organization of field survey is another major mission in social or sample surveys. The term field is used in survey research refer to the geographical setting where the data collection takes place by visiting the respondent's home or office for another location and conducts the interview by the researcher. It also means the practical work conducted by a researcher in the natural environment rather than in a laboratory or office. The approaches and methods used in field research vary across disciplines. For such field work organization, some of the following preparatory works have to be taken up with utmost care. The major steps in organization of survey are getting official permission, accommodation and logistics, and monitoring and supervision of field work. Coming to the getting official permission, many research topics are social relevant and concerned to the people living in different settings, namely hamlets, villages, towns, cities, etc., and even at times homeless population, people visiting to hospitals or health facilities, etc., also will be the respondents. In all these cases, the researchers and our field investigators are unknown to the respondents, and for respondents, the researchers and our field investigators are strangers. In such case, it is always better to seek permission with those officials and our formal or informal leaders under whose jurisdiction the selected areas will fall, and also from those who are immediately available at the place of data collection. These persons have to be briefed about the importance and need of the survey and seek their permission and request them to inform the same at field level to some local level leaders. Coordinators from non-government organizations and officials or leaders from local self-government like village block level, town level, panchayat municipalities, municipal corporations, etc., also will be helpful for some surveys, especially for individual researchers. The second major point to be considered while organizing survey is accommodation and logistics. Generally, surveys will be carried out at different places which may be far away from the researcher's place of work and or residence. As the survey has to be completed within a definite period of time, researchers and or field investigators who collect the data mostly stay either in the place of survey or field work or nearer to such places. Sometimes it will be very difficult to get accommodation at these places, and thereby one should plan to reach these places either by own vehicle, local transport, and vehicles arranged by the organization by staying nearby convenient place. In such cases, proper planning is needed how to reach safely to the selected places of survey on time so as to contact the respondents and carry out the field work smoothly. In large scale surveys, materials needed for the field work like sufficient number of interview schedules or questionnaires or copy laptops, instruments needed for biometric measurement of children, audio video gadgets if needed, etc. also have to be carried either personally or by vehicles. One should also think over about their food, water and refreshments as well as medicines for minor health ailments. The third step in organization of survey is monitoring and supervision of field work. While researchers themselves are doing the field work, they have to check progress of their own work on daily basis. Every day evening, the researchers have to assess or review of the work done on that day as well as till that day so as to monitor the work and then plan for the upcoming days. Steps also should be taken to rectify the doubts arise and mistakes done during field work. Monitoring also is very much essential in the beginning of the survey and it should be done till the end of the field work or survey. In large scale surveys, the overall monitoring will be taken care by the research organization with the different coordinators on day-to-day basis, since lot of money is spent for the field work purpose. These coordinators will have to look into the permission for field work, accommodation and logistics as well as making arrangements to conduct the field work in a proper manner. In the case of organization of survey, like monitoring, supervision also plays an important role. Supervision is another major task in survey or field work, which is generally very much essential in the large scale surveys wherein large numbers of field investigators are engaged. Strictly speaking, in such surveys, the field investigators will be grouped into different teams consisting of 5 or 6 members for whom one supervisor will be kept in charge. These supervisors will be given separate training related to field work to be carried out, how to how to extract work from the field workers, how to clarify their doubts, how to operate field checks if any, and how to solve minor problems during the course of field work, etc. The responsibilities of the supervisor also include spot checking of the interview schedules or copy, rectifying the doubts if any, and also checking and consolidating the work done by all the field investigators on the same evening and at times next day morning, but as far as possible on daily basis. These supervisors should act as guides to the field workers and at the same time they are supposed to inform the day-to-day happenings and progress of the work to the immediate coordinators at central office. The supervisors are also should take care about the working conditions at different places of work, field work timings and hours of work, allotment of work to field investigators, attendance and payment if any, so as to encourage the morale and commitment of the field workers in data collection. Supervisors' duties also include taking care of contacting and get the permission and cooperation of the officials at local level by showing the copy of the permission letter from the district or state level officials for the conduct of the field work. In some surveys, the supervisors also give training how to substitute the sample, that is for those not responded or refused ones if needed. Now, coming to the merits of the survey, cost will be relatively lower in comparison to the information collected. Time taken will be less given the volume of work to collect and analyze the data. There is possibility of collecting large data on various topics or issues of interest. Surveys permit greater objectivity as they won't influenced by researchers and field investigators' views and beliefs. Data will be mostly reliable. Researchers or field investigators are personally collecting from the respondents. Response rates will be higher since the researchers' presence is there to convince even the refusal to provide respondents. Possibility of estimation of errors is possible as most of the surveys are sample surveys which are based on statistical methods. Non-sampling errors would be less due to better organization, monitoring and supervision of fieldwork. Survey methods are more flexible and widely useful for almost on any topic to be studied. For collecting some specific sensitive topics like domestic violence, premarital sexual behavior, etc., as well as contacting selected group of respondents like illiterates and semi-illiterates, MSM, FSW, etc., this is the only method through which reliable data can be collected. Coming to the limitation side, at times cost will be fairly high for surveys if intended to collect large information and the sample respondents are dispersed at different places. Sometimes it is very difficult to get reliable and needed information through surveys as they are largely dependent upon the interview schedule, interview methods and field investigators, etc. Conducting large scale surveys is a time consuming process. Likewise, the reliability and validity of the findings based on surveys is not always without doubt. Survey method is not suitable for certain topics of interest in which studies focus on historical studies, observation related, in-depth studying and ethnographic related. There is also possibility of some sampling errors, especially in large scale surveys, since the surveys are mostly done based on the sample respondents. In sum, in this module, a detailed discussion is made about the various aspects related to social survey such as meaning and importance as well as characteristics of social survey, steps in planning for the survey as well as organization of survey, besides merits and limitations of social survey. I hope after understanding all these, one will be able to plan, organize and conduct the social survey in an effective manner in population studies. Thank you.